Thank you for inviting me. I think my job has become redundant after such extensive and detailed presentation from Yaroslav and Dimitro. Therefore, I will sort of try to tweet. I never tweeted in my life, but maybe that's what's left for me to do. So I would say what a 12 months it has been since we last got together here. We had a major earthquake. We nationalized the private bank, and the house didn't collapse. You know, we survived. And we encapsulated that cancerous cell that was going to threaten the life of our banking system now in an intensive care area of our body, and we are trying to shrink that cell. I think it would be good, of course, to for the state, for the government in particular, of course, to articulate how it would, deal with the private bank's future in conjunction with the remainder of the state-owned banking system. I think this strategy setting is now, almost getting overdue, and it needs to be dealt with to bring clarity for everybody. The other tweets I would say is it's a contrasting landscape. There are a lot of good things, positive things, but at the same time, we have an undersized compared to the GDP sector. We have a underperforming sector, if you want, in terms of fulfilling its role to supply financing to the real economy. We have an oversized state-owned banking system, and we have an oversized NPL book that needs to be dealt with. And we have a poor profile here that when I look at the overall loan portfolio of the entire banking system, the corporate loan portfolio, I think the number is, Dimitri can correct me, is around $20 billion equivalent. And half of that is outstanding to, I understand, to the 20 top industrial groups. So the remainder of the entire Ukrainian economy is only supported by $10 billion worth of credit. That is incredible. Many banks have car loan portfolios bigger than 10 billion. So we have to do something to get our banking system working again. And we all know what these things are, and I will try to touch upon a few as we move forward and perhaps in the ensuing discussion. And at the same time, of course, we have a pretty sort of good silver lining and sun breaking through the clouds, because we have stabilized our macroeconomy. We have a relatively low, now manageable interest rate environment. We brought down the interest rates, the policy rates, to substantially to 12.5%. The currency has stabled. The stress testing is completed. Of course, there's space for more consolidation, and I'm sure the capital requirements that the MBU is setting is going to be instrumental in achieving that. But the sooner we get there, of course, the better it is. But what will it take for the banking system, in my view, to start functioning again is, first and foremost, we all know this rule of law and the protection of creditors' rights issue has to be dealt with. I mean, we still are not there. Our judicial system is not conducive to, letting you guys feel courageous enough to make new loans, because you don't know how you might be taken to the cleaners. The NPL resolution must be accomplished, and in that context also asset management companies have to be brought into the picture. We have now the Kiev approach that has been set up with a secretariat and all other functions, but you guys are not yet trusting it, and I would really encourage you to try it, because it is a proven, tested system. It is objective, transparent, and it's an effective way of addressing the NPL issues that we all have. We have to deal with prosecutors in that context as well, the court system in a different dimension now, because in many institutions, particularly also in the state-owned banks, the people are worried to restructure loans because some smart, and I use that in entre guillemets, prosecutor will, possibly and most likely come after those decision makers who do some debt forgiveness or convert some debt to equity and all these things. And of course, this paralyzes the system. I mean, we have, together with World Bank and the US government, just a few weeks ago, 2-3 weeks ago, held a session to educate all these prosecutors and judges. A whole bunch of them sort of said they would attend, and when the actual day came, very few of them turned up. I mean, we will not give up. We will continue on this road because it is important for the system to understand what banking is about, how does it work, and how one has to act in distressed situations. So we have to do that. And of course, in conjunction with these efforts, also the certain accounting rules, taxation sort of rules have to be made more flexible, and additional capital, particularly I'm talking for state-owned banks, might be needed when you want to deal that size of NPL issue. And of course, the unknown about the Russian bank situation has to be also resolved because that is also overhanging the system here. So I feel confident about the future, but it requires all of us to act together with our lawmakers, with our regulators. We need to, I hope, very soon find out who our permanent head of MBU will be, because it is also overdue, and it's, I'm sorry? Because it's difficult to explain to the rest of the world where we're trying to build confidence why it is not possible to make that appointment. And that is in the power of our politicians to do that. So I imagine it's not a very difficult process unless you are making this a part of the broader political game that gets played as elections get nearby. But I'm sort of quite hopeful that this will actually be resolved very soon because the president is attending that issue at the moment. We have to pass the legislation for the better governance of state-owned banks, because this is, again, you're looking at 55–60% of the system. You're looking at a tremendous overhang of NPLs in that section of the banking system. So unless you brought a very clearly politically insulated from politics and professional management, commercial management of these institutions in a very rigorous way, the system again will not be able to pick itself from where it is now. We also have to attend, of course, the regulation end of the spectrum, and we are now doing everything to pass the split law on regulation together with our colleagues from the MBU to make the regulatory environment clearer and bring also non-bank financial institutions under proper supervision. We have to pass the restructuring law. And last but not least, I think we all have to make a collective effort to bring our corporate, small, medium, large, private enterprises from the dark side, the black side of the economy, to the transparent white side of the economy, so that everything can be well assessed and you guys feel much more comfortable, and the economy would be healthier because it would have better taxation as a result of that, and less distortion of the businesses. So with that, I want to conclude saying, yes, the future is bright, but we have to move our engine a little bit to move towards that future, and that engine key is in our hands. So thank you very much.